Hi, welcome back to my channel, Fix and Repair. Today you have before you all my collection of Ranch King tractors. They made these tractors from about 1980 to about 85. All these tractors are non-hydrostatic. They have the shifter. And I'm going to talk a little bit about these tractors, some of the common problems. I'm going to show you what I did to modify them. So what do I have here? 2, 4, 6 of them. Yep, 6 tractors. So we're going to start right here with this one. As you can see, this one's heavily modified. This one I had put different front and rear tires on it. I put rims on it. They have bearings. Rims I got from the surplus center. Tires I got from the surplus center. Back tires are off a UTV. Rims are the bolt-on, which you can find on quite a few, like Cub Cadets, etc. They make it nicer because originally these tractors came out with slip-on rims, and a lot of times they rust to the transaxle and they're almost impossible to get off. I had to actually cut a few rims to get them off and to modify them, etc. Let's see. This tractor, I added a front bumper that came off a 1991 Crown Victoria, 1990 Crown Victoria. I cut it down. I added weight to the front because when I would shift it, the thing would want to pop a wheelie, and I thought it was unsafe. Got a toolbox. Got a grate off an old furnace. The front. Added that to the front there. Made it fit. Painted it black. It's kind of cool. They have the round headlights on some of these models. That looks nice. Added a cast iron axle off a Craftsman. Put that on there. That's a weak spot with these tractors. They have a very bad front axle. It's pressed. Added a gas pedal off a wheel horse. Added my brake clutch pedal. That's off a John Deere 110. I bolted it on. I'd recommend, if you do the same thing, to weld it. Marked where my gears are on it. Added a different key off a snowblower, because that way when I leave it sitting outside in the winter, it doesn't freeze my ignition, my starting switch. Added a spinner, different seat, cut a hole in there, put one of a battery box in there to store my extra parts. Added extra springs to it to make it a little bit stronger. Added a brace that runs across the fenders, because a lot of times when you get on and off the tractor, you'll put your hand here where the fender is, and these fenders are bent down. And if that's the case, you can't put larger wheels on it. I also made the fender wheel wells larger by cutting apart the fenders off another tractor and bolting them on. I'd recommend, if you purchase one of these Ranch Kings and don't pay any more than $200 for one, sometimes you can get them for free, sometimes you can get them for 35 bucks. On average, I was paying $100 for them. They're considerably less now. No one wants them anymore. That you also pick up an old Murray or a Craftsman, because lots of times you can swap parts off those other tractors. And one of the things, I'll put the phone down for a second and open the hood. One of the things you have with these tractors, a lot of times the wiring harness will be bad, and you can swap out a wiring harness off a Craftsman in here. Say for instance a solenoid, or the mice will get in here and chew up the wiring. I noticed on these Ranch Kings, whatever insulation they used on these wiring harnesses, it becomes very brittle over time. Originally I had a 2-cylinder Briggs and Stratton engine in it, which I don't like. All the tractors I ever had, they always had problems with them. There's one right over there. that I'm going to take that engine out of. That's still original. We'll get to that. And I just use this around the farm to pull wagons. Added an ammo box to it. I found this at a junkyard. Someone made this little box, this dump box. It came off a Simplicity tractor. Someone put a lot of thought and effort into this, and I was able to purchase it. So I added it to my tractor. I do have it so it flips. And underneath I have a milk crate where my battery is stored. And then I added a hitch underneath that. Okay. So there you go. See the little modifications I did to add the hitch. I also put on motorcycle exhaust, which I'd never do again. Just kind of looks cool. Just want to see if I could do it. It's too loud. It's not worth it. This is originally where the battery's set, and I put a gas tank off a Craftsman here and built a little little gas box to hold it in place. So moving on to the next tractor, this is what one looks like when it's pretty much stock. I think the only thing this person changed to it, they added headlights. As you can see, the rims are slip-ons, which are just awful because they'll rust to the axle and you won't be able to get them off. The mower deck, I think they came with a 44 and a 46. This is a 44. The person added LED lights to the front. Those are original stock rims. It's an 1844. This is not the original seat. These tractors did have a very goofy setup for the seat. They had two giant springs that would come up here and they would hook in. They had little slots. They would hook in here, and that's how you adjust the seat. But a lot of times the springs would break or it'd get really sloppy. So you'll have to come up with a better way to mount a seat on these tractors. Also too, a lot of times these are all bent where the hitch is at. This has original tires in the back, and those could be original tires, who knows, on the front. The original style anyway. I'll pop open the hood, and that's what a Briggs 2-cylinder engine looks like. Okay. And that's the wimpy front axle. Now in this tractor you probably notice all these steering gears in the back of here. The reason is because these tractors have that clam type steering, and a lot of times all you have to do is turn the steering wheel like this. When you turn it to the left and you hear that click click click, the steering gear is broken on it, wore out. That's a good idea to pick up another Craftsman because you can swap the steering gears. This one came off another tractor, I don't know what, and I thought maybe I could modify this to fit in there. Who knows? If you're going to use it for any heavy work, make sure you put that heavy cast iron axle in the front. It won't steer as short, but it'll definitely be worth it. You can see the difference in width. All right, here's a tractor. And now these, you probably wonder why this gas tank is sticking out in the front, because originally these tractors, the gas tank is actually in the back by the rear wheels. And if you lose your fuel pump, then you have to make it gravity fed. That's why I put the gas tanks right by the engine. Okay. This one was put out front. It looks kind of stupid, I will agree, but that was a quick, easy solution to actually use it because it had a mower deck, and we used it for some of the tall grass around here. This one doesn't run anymore. We put a different engine in it, and this one's shot. So what I plan on doing with both of these here, I'm going to strip out, take the engines out of both of them, junk the engines, keep the starters because they're interchangeable, and probably keep the exhaust. And then I'm going to junk both engines, and I'm going to just leave these sitting around here for parts, because I'm afraid if I blow out the transaxle on my racing mower, I won't be able to find a rear end for it. And that's what I plan on doing. So you can kind of see in depth what it looks like down in there. That still has the stock headlights on it. These tractors are getting harder and harder to find. Toolbox was added. It was not the best design because you had to lift up the whole seat if you want to tilt the seat. You see, that's where originally you put gas in it back here. And you can make the hitch stronger, obviously. Okay, so this is my racing tractor here. This one originally had weights in the front, and I took the weights off because I added a clutch system to it, so now it doesn't want to pop a wheelie anymore. Then I'll crawl underneath the tractor and I'll show you how that's set up. Added headlights, ran the exhaust out the front here, which is much better. I had the little plastic piece brake on the carburetor, and it has a brass piece that sticks out. So I took this 90 degree here. This actually came off the fuel tank. The bottom of this Ranch King fuel tank has this, and I drilled it out, and then I JB welded it to here, and now I have it fixed. So I thought that turned out pretty well. Tires are from Surplus Center. Rims with bearings are a must. This was actually somewhat of a rare model because this is a silver Ranch King. And there's some other guy that has a video on YouTube, and I guess they only made it for their anniversary edition. What do I care, right? Yeah. For the purist, oh wow, he modified it. Oh well, who cares, right? I had to cut a hole in the top here. That way my fuel tank will fit. Let's see, it's an 1844. What else can I say about it? I added the John Deere rims on the back. That's another one of my videos. And I bought those tires off of Tractor Supply when they had clearance. So they're nice and wide. They're about 15 pounds PSI, because otherwise when I go down the road, it bounces too much when I hit little dips in the road. I also had to remove quite a bit of pressure off the front. I had the same problem. This thing was bouncing like a rabbit. Top speed probably now is maybe 16 and a half miles an hour because I took the weight off the front because I no longer need the weight. So I went through this tractor. I also changed where the throttle position is located. That's originally where the PTO, so I can easily cut the throttle with this hand when I'm driving it. I really wouldn't want to go much faster than this. I changed the front steering axle on this, and what I did, that's an axle off an Aaron's, and it's steel. It's a little bit too narrow, and then I took another axle and I cut it down and I wedged it in there and I bolted it in there. You can see, and I had to add a washer to shim it just a little bit. That came off of Simplicity an early 80s simplicity. The ones that have the spindles that stick way far down to raise up the front end. I was never going to use it, but I needed that piece. Okay, what else can I say? Added reflectors. This bumper is one you can buy. It's aftermarket. Came off something I junked. I added to it to protect it. 15 miles an hour, 16 is fast enough for this. Added new bushings down here, or used ones. Used washers, and I shimmed everything out. I'll put the phone down for a second, and I'll grab a piece of cardboard because this is very hot right here. And I'll lay down underneath the tractor. Alright, so now I'll show you underneath the tractor. See the nice tires, really nice tires. So, for underneath here, oops. See, I added these washers here, and I made sure everything had new bushings. I want to tighten everything up. You're going that fast, I don't want any slop in this thing. But back here, I'll do from both angles. This is the modification I had to do to get a smaller gear on that transaxle. I had to add a bunch of springs in here. I added an idler pulley right back there. I'll go to the other side now. It is hot out here today. And the wasp wants to be my friend, doesn't he? Okay. So here we go. So here's some springs I had to add. This is my idler pulley. This is the brackets I had to make up. Large pulley. I got this off of eBay. And I put a much smaller pulley back here. This has a mule drive system to it. You can see right here. Runs across. There's another pulley, and the belt runs up to the engine. But I designed this underneath here, right up in there. I'll push on the clutch. There's my pulley that I added to it, and that came off a Powercraft lawn tractor. And it's I'll call it a clutch pulley. The way it works is when it's spinning, it slides over and it gets tighter. I don't know if I can, it's all the way out right now. It's wide. But anyway, one half of the pulley slides back and forth on the shaft. I had to cut a hole in here, see, to fish the belt through there to get it up in there. And then I had to add all these belt guides. There's one there. There's one here. This was the original. I had to add this belt guide up in here. And there's another one way back there I had to add because I didn't want the belt rubbing on this bracket. Then I added a belt guide here. Okay, because I had the belt jump off in all these different positions. This is a belt off an MTD snowblower that my neighbor gave me that I junked. It's not the right width, but it's the right length. I have a 38-inch belt on here, so I need to get one a little wider. It does work, and the way I'm shifting this tractor now is I start in second, then I get it up to a little bit less than half throttle. I shift it to third, then I put it full throttle, and then I just slip it into fourth, and I clutch it the entire time of doing that. But if I have it, I can't downshift it from 4 to 3. That doesn't work. And then what else? If I have it full throttle from 2 to 3, that doesn't work either. But I've been playing around with it. I think it turned out really well. I just wanted to see if I could do it, because I didn't see anyone try to make one of these into a race mower. And I don't know if it really is a race mower, but it does go faster than before. And it's fast enough. And I just scared that wasp away. I didn't kill it. Okay. So. That's that one. Now we'll go to this one here. Add the bumper, added the axle, cast iron axle off of Craftsman again. Add the lights, tires, wheel weights, Cup Cadet wheel weights, stronger hitch, toolbox, nice seat, lots of springs, and lots of, this one I wanted higher. This one I extended the front end of the grill up, just like they did on those old 8Ns when they added larger engines to them. Well, I did the same thing because underneath I got the big gas tank, which is nice. This came off a Poulon. This was underneath the tractor originally, and I made my brackets out of wood and I wired it in there above the engine so it's gravity fed. Works really well, has a gas gauge on it, nice tank. I'm happy with the way this one turned out. This came off of Sears. This was part of the hood, and I adapted it to the front of the dash to extend it up, put some rubber pieces on here, and now my hood is pretty much level across. And I used a battery box off another lawnmower to put the battery in here. Add the chrome piece to add some pizzazz to it. That came off another tractor. I don't remember what it was. Slow moving sign. I use this to haul wood home. Tail light off a motorcycle. There's my hitch, my heavy duty hitch. I was using that to pull some wagons of wood home, and it did work in second and first gear, but eventually I broke the belt. So if I have the right belt, it will work. And this is the last tractor. And let's see. Apparently my headlights got broken off. Someone else used it and didn't tell me. That's great. And I added different front tires, the wider tires. The brake clutch pedal again. Added chains to the back, wheel weights, different rims, extra weight in the back, toolbox, hitch, rear light, fender flares, more weight, exhaust a little different, exit underneath, Craftsman cast iron front axle, and then a heavy piece of weight on the front. Battery in the front this time. All right, so those are my tractors. Have any questions? Leave them in the comments section. I can kind of say I'm an expert on Ranch Kings. Might as well. I think I qualify as an expert. I own enough of them. Thanks for all the new subscribers. I'll talk to you later.